The drones are 100% safe and effective. Public was not in danger at any time. Does Washington, D.C. understand the degree to which they're mistrusted, not trusted, and reasonably so? And is this a great big psyop? I mean, I looked at this all across the weekend. I saw some footage from a guy who makes drones. He says that there is a missing nuclear warhead. That's his deduction. That the only reason to fly a drone at that time of day is you're looking for something, you're looking for a heat signature. I don't buy that because you can look for radiation during the day too. It's a different signature. There's the theory that this is coming off of an Iranian mothership. This is what a U.S. congressman said. What is happening is there's drones flying. What is also happening is that the government can't seem to nail down the lie they want to tell. Oh, then in the background, of course, there is a statute that's set to be renewed with the FAA giving them more power. So there's an argument in Congress about this coming up. Should the FAA have more power? Should they be able to seize more power? Now, of course, remember that when they went down to Waco, Texas, they did that for the ATF. It was a fundraising thing. They called the media ahead of time and said, hey, something really big is coming up in Waco, Texas. You're going to want to be there. There's a great movie called Rules of Engagement. And it gets into this with their own words. The words of the people who engineered this, calling the media, it's going to be a big deal. You should come down. They knew what they were going to do because the ATF had a budget argument coming up. The FAA has a big power struggle coming up. And President Trump might say no to these things. So we'll talk about these 100% safe and effective drones. If you're on the video service, that's going to be really helpful today. I'll do what I can for people listening on audio. It'll also be good. We do this with the help of God Almighty, without whom we can do nothing of lasting value.
The Todd Herman Show is 100% disapproved by big pharma, technocrats, and tyrants everywhere. No. From the high mountains of free America, here's the Emerald City exile, Todd Herman.
Today is the day the Lord has made, and these are the times through which God has decided we shall live. Appreciate you joining us. Good morning to everyone on the live stream. I just logged in. See you guys there. I appreciate that. Let's start by burying the lead. I'm not supposed to do this. I'm supposed to build up into this, but let's start with just stating a fact. God is not hoaxed. So at no point can the government hoax God. He knows what's going on, and he's allowing it to occur. So we should just end the show there. It's okay. We should just end it with God's allowing it to go on. But what does God want us to take from this? Here's some facts. The government can find out what's going on. All they need to do is shoot down a drone. They can figure out then who owns the drone, where the drone was made. Here's another fact. They could all get together and all come up with one lie or one truth. The fact that they've decided to not do that indicates to me that they're not interested in it because, again, they could call together a meeting and come out and state a fact. This is a foreign adversary. We're concerned about it, or we're not concerned about it. If it's a foreign adversary and they're not concerned about it, that doesn't add up. They could shoot one of these things down and tell us what's in it. They're choosing to not do that. They could just come out and say, look, we've got a national security situation we're working on, and the drones are back there doing a search for people. They could say that. They're choosing to not to. So the fact that they don't care about message coordination means to me, what's left over? They like this. Are they benefiting from us talking about drones? Well, sure, there's been a number of things going on. Later this week, we're going to talk about what the figurehead Biden just did for Big Pharma. I'll do a big piece on this in the Substack channel because the people who run Joe Biden have decided to give pharma a waiver from being sued for injuries from a certain, well, so-called medication that they forced down upon society. He's extended that. Now they can't be sued. So that's a cover-up of sorts. There's, of course, the $15 million settlement that ABC was forced to give President Trump in the way of a donation to his library and his inaugural fund. George Stephanopoulos ponied up with $1 million of his own money in this. So there's that. But is that worth a drone event? Some people think this is going to add up into, hey, the aliens are here. I don't know if I believe that, but I do like to look at things called social programming. And I do believe that Hollywood to this day works hand in hand with Washington, D.C. and the CIA. I mean, we know this. They give them coverage over certain films. They give them military assets. You want to go film a movie like Top Gun, you need some military assets. We can help you with that. We need to review the script. We might need the bad guys to change in Top Gun. It can't be China anymore. It needs to be someone else. So we know there's this hand-in-glove relationship. So I started to think about a show my wife and I watched for a couple of seasons. It was actually pretty good. It's escapist drama. It was called Colony. You might remember this. There was a certain technology that was very, very central to this. And I think we're wise to look and see what has been the social programming around drones. Then we'll get into some of this footage. Wisdom is in short supply these days, although there's a form of wisdom that I discovered when I was looking at podcasts about food freedom, trying to find some people to have on the show and to network with. And I came across a podcast by the guy who created a product called Wisdom. So he's a doctor, and he'd been in the Holy Land walking where Jesus walked. And as he's back there, he was hit with a bit of inspiration. His name is Dr. Patrick Tempo. And he was noticing how often herbs and spices are mentioned in the Bible almost in sacred ways. And he was back there walking. He could smell these herbs and spices, and he started to think about natural ways to help our bodies heal, to have better immune systems, joint health, focus, mental clarity, relaxation. And he was hit with a vision to create this product that's called Wisdom. So this is an oil-based herbal supplement, and it is made with insane technology. This thing I'm holding right here has been through sound waves, light infusion. It is cold brewed in small batches to maintain its potency. And incidentally, the thing I didn't expect is how delicious it is. I take it just raw, just put it right in my mouth. And I do get that sense of relaxation and these other benefits. You can try this right now like my daughter does. My daughter puts it in her coffee. She still gets the boost, not the jagged edge. So go to trywisdomnow.com/Todd. That's trywisdomnow.com/Todd. You're going to get 33% off. You are going to get free shipping, and you are going to get a 180-day money-back guarantee. That's trywisdomnow.com/Todd. I'd said there's wisdom in looking at what the social programming factors are. This TV show was actually pretty good. It was called Colony on the USA Network, and it begins, like a lot of movies begin, Los Angeles. The news is on the radio. The kids are in the little house. There's barbed wire fences. That's interesting. A little bit of Los Angeles for you. A world not so different from our own.
Good morning. You stink. Or is it you? You stink.
Oh, does the dog stink or does the girl stink? Hey, look, armored personnel carriers rolling down Los Angeles.
Never come back.
A city that's been
This
occupied.
is the worst part of it, you know? Husbands separated from wives, parents from children.
It's bad enough he's gone. But to see you every day hating me for it, he's my son too.
You know what they do to the families of criminals.
So there's an occupying force in Los Angeles of outsiders with red helmets and military outfits. The city's been broken up. Alien invaders have come and they've built a wall. Obviously, this is a statement about illegal immigration. They built a wall. But there's a technology that comes to play, in fact, featured in this, is drones. Drones overflying a city. One family not so ready to give in.
38th run. You got nothing to worry about.
Hop in.
So this guy's a former Fed. He's a high-level man. They bring him into the fold, and he works both sides against the middle,
Going
trying to
from
protect his
my
family.
son.
That's the wall.
We were separated during the arrival.
How old?
He turned 12 last week.
You have entered the exclusion zone. Remain inside.
This is
your
the immigration thing, illegal immigration.
Ray and Tommy. They'll never know we were here.
So he's escaping a blast. They went in as terrorists to try to free his son from the occupied land. Here's the forces and more drones. The drones are throughout the program, and they get more and more intense as they follow this family all around their attempt to escape. They're very intelligent drones, smart tech. So the reason I bring this up is because of this hand-in-fist relationship between Hollywood and DC, particularly the Pentagon and the CIA. Sometimes they prep environments that we should expect to see drones flying about. What are we seeing in New Jersey? Let's go back to what the government's telling us. They're airplanes. No, this is something that an impeached criminal, Alejandro Mayorkas, said, that these are airplanes. Then he changed his statement and said, no, these are hobbyist drones. We've heard from people in the government saying there are no drones, and then coming back and saying, well, there's some drones. So we're in this situation again where we're being asked to not believe our own eyes. For instance, there's no critical race theory in schools. No one's teaching perverse sex ed in schools. That's not happening. No one's forcing you to take a particular medication. That's not occurring. None of that's happening. Here are some airplanes for you. I commonly see airplanes that can fly into position like that, stop and hover, blinking back and forth. Hey, look, a third, lining up into a triangle position. That happens all the time. And this is going on not just in New Jersey, but around the country. Now, these orbs are being seen on the West Coast. And this is San Jose. This is someone in their car. Now, again, maybe this is AI, except this is a lot of AI. And real people are reporting seeing these things, including some crashes. This looks like the I-5 in San Jose as they're going down and maybe headed towards the airport. To say 5, I said 101. I'm sorry. So the family's filming this. Don't be distracted by the little red globe up there, white globe. That's, I think, the reflection. There is the orb.
Well, there's the drone in San Jose, California. There they are.
So maybe that's an airplane.
Drone.
People are reporting these around the country, but not more than in New Jersey. So when the government sees this, they've got a whole bunch of opportunities to speak truth. What are we actually seeing? This thing in San Jose continues. The family goes down the freeway and shows that this thing is moving back and forth. It's not an airplane. Here's another example of more planes.
Look!
So this is a massive glow out of the sky, rising up above an urban neighborhood. The lady's freaked and drops her phone.
You need to get the boy!
Now, I wonder if you can see why I was referencing the television show Colony. There was a military base that had a bunch of crazy people on it making a bunch of crazy claims. You know how military people are nuts and insane and given to panic? This comes from a publication called The War Zone. Drone incursions closed Wright-Patterson Air Force Base's airspace Friday night. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, a high-profile base that's home to critical Air Force units, is the latest installation to deal with mysterious drones. Howard Altman posted 26 minutes ago this last night. So now our soldiers are reporting drones that aren't happening? An Air Force base can't tell the difference between drones and airplanes. That seems unlikely, specifically because they have experience in identifying planes versus drones. Also, is it just me? Or do they have this stuff called radar where they could actually look up and identify what those things are? Shouldn't they have flight trackers on them? Don't drones have to have identifying numbers? Aren't they disallowed from flying over military bases? Why are they getting away with this? Why don't they shoot one down? Why don't they take an airplane up next to it? It happens that a sheriff in New Jersey decided to send his industrial strength world-class drone up to fly next to these drones in New Jersey so he could maybe get a picture of them or video. Something happened. No, it didn't get shot down. Something else happened that's almost just as impressive. It speaks to the world-class technology we're facing. The drones in New Jersey apparently have no heat signature, which is really hard to do. If you're producing energy, you're producing a heat signature. Energy It's at the core of our economy in the United States. It's in fact at the core of every economy in the country, because without energy, you can't produce goods. Without energy, it's very difficult to have edible foods or clean water. Energy is going to be a major debate as we head into the Trump era, Trump 2.0. In the separate country of Washington State, Seattle and King County, the most communist of those communist nations, are suing the rest of the state. The rest of the state voted to overturn a ban on natural gas. So Seattle and King County's voters are being held captive by leftists, are suing the rest of the state because they want natural gas banned. Why? Well, because it's BIPOC kids in Harlem who are dying of asthma because of the natural gas in Seattle. Yes, that is 3,000 miles away. It's hypnotism. They've fallen for this scam. And this debate over energy is going to be key to your retirement account. If the United States succeeds in being energy independent again, that could be great. If the United States is slung back into this carbon scam, carbon dioxide scam, maybe not so great. How is it then that the oligarchs make money on either side? Well, one of it is they control markets. You and I don't have the ability to do that, but we do have the ability to do this. To take our money, invest it with people who are hedging bets, hedges upon hedges upon hedges, in a risk management mode, and actively managing every single portfolio, which can reduce risk and volatility. I just described what my friend and brother, Zach Abraham, does at Bulwark Capital Management. He does this as a fiduciary. He is legally bound to put your financial interests above his. Now, Zach does something pretty unique for a financial guy. 90% of his family's net worth is invested in Bulwark. Same place that I have my money. He will look at your retirement accounts right now for free. He'll have a conversation with you. He'll look at your bank accounts. He'll look at your plans for retirement, your house, your home equity, college loans, all those plans. And he will tell you if he thinks you're ready to retire. And if not, what will it take to get there? By the way, what does retirement mean to Zach? Knowing exactly how much money you will have every day for the rest of your life until you die. That's what successful retirement means to Zach. So give him a call. He's at 866-779-RISK. That's 866-779-RISK. Or go to knowyourriskradio.com, and Zach will look at your accounts for free and give you his advice. That's knowyourriskradio.com. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 24-378. In Astoria, Oregon, they look like orbs. I mean, they may be drones of a different make and model. They probably are, but they look like orbs in the sky, and they can move in really interesting ways. In formations. There's other videos of them circling about. So both coasts. Now, this gives credence to the argument that they're coming off of some sort of mothership, that they're on the coasts, that they don't seem to be as often in the middle of the country. So there are police officers who decided to go send their drones up. We'll get to this. It's interesting as well to look at the response of the Mockingbird media. CNN is skeptical about the Biden administration. Let's pause for a second. CNN is skeptical of the Biden administration. What is CNN's role in the usual media ecosystem? It's to tell us that the government says it's safe and effective. The safest, most secure election in history. Stay home, stay safe. The masks are proven to work. That special medication they forced down into people's veins across the world is a godsend. Joe Biden's not involved in any form of scandal. He's not the least bit cognitive decline. There is no critical race theory being taught in schools. Wait, there is, and it's a good thing. There's no perverse sex ed going on in schools. Oh, wait, it is, and it's a good thing. No children are giving life-altering, gender so-called affirming surgeries or hormones without the permission of parents. Oh, wait, that is happening, and it's a good thing. That's CNN's normal role, right? So how is it then that Casey Hunt finds herself skeptical of what the people who run Joe Biden are saying about the drones?
The truth is out there. Americans in New Jersey would really like to know who is flying sometimes massive drones over their homes and infrastructure.
I think the creepy part is not that it's just a drone, that they're so large.
Now, some of the things that people are seeing on social media, posting on social media, they have been identified as normal things in the skies. Planes, helicopters. But not all of them. One New Jersey mayor says the drones have been flying over the state's critical infrastructure. The drones have also been spotted near a U.S. military research facility and over President-elect Donald Trump's golf course in Bedminster, New Jersey. And those sightings have prompted the FAA to issue temporary flight restrictions. And according to the Associated Press, the Coast Guard says multiple low-altitude aircrafts were spotted near one of their vessels. Still, they weren't seen as an immediate threat, and they didn't interfere with any operations. So, what has the White House been saying about all this?
I don't have anything beyond that. We're tracking this very closely.
Needless to say, New Jersey lawmakers who are hearing from their constituents have found the non-explanations to be lacking.
I'm concerned. I issued a letter to ask for more information, and I think there should be a lot more transparency about them.
So yesterday, the White House sent out John Kirby, he is, of course, a retired Navy admiral and national security communications advisor, to clear things up.
He's a spokesliar.
We have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings.
Liar. Liar. You have the testimony of Air Force personnel at an Air Force base. You have the Coast Guard. You have a sheriff who sent his drone up in the sky. You have other law enforcement. So that's a brutal lie. Now, he could stretch it to say, well, I said corroborate. Okay, you could stretch it that way. But remember, this guy's a spokesliar.
To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully.
He got asked about this later. You said manned aircraft, and he had to walk that back. He put out a statement walking it back. I said some of them. Certainly the majority of planes in the sky, or the number of planes in the sky, outnumber the number of drones right now, but that's not the point. The point is that the lies are ineffective.
Uh-huh. So basically he says, don't believe your own eyes? So of course, the question everyone has is, who is doing this? Some New Jersey lawmakers have been speculating that it's Iran or China. Those of us who don't live in New Jersey are just wondering, why New Jersey?
Why New Jersey? Well, infrastructure, availability, closest to New York, and chatter. It's a media capital. CNN taking on a role of skeptic of the Biden administration causes me to have some skepticism. There could be this idea that they're building up into a massive cover-up of something going on behind the scenes. Maybe they're moving parts and pieces around Ukraine. They don't want us to know that. There's that whole thing about pay attention to the right hand. They're doing this in the magic trick. We're not supposed to look at what's happening behind the scenes. News Nation has been following this very closely. In fact, they sent a reporter out, a reporter who was skeptical of this entire story. We'll get to that because his skepticism met with visual confirmation, things he did not expect to see. And I'm going to ask you a favor right now. There's something I didn't want to see this weekend, and it happened. I really never wanted to see this. I won't say his name because it would be, I think, pretty tasteless. I went to work out with a just dear friend of mine, and he got hurt. And it was a workout I chose, and it might have been stupid of me to choose it. And he's a very gifted athlete. He knows how to deal with body pain. He is pretty well, in terms of at a younger time, was a world-class wrestler. So to see him hurt's really hard for me. So I appreciate your prayers for my friend. And would also pray that you would help him make a decision, and I mean this, to trust me to get in touch with Renew Healthcare. This looks like to him a cartilage tear. So people can hear that and go, well, cartilage tear says that it's only surgery. No, that's not true. If you've been told you're headed for bone on bone, that is one of the worst pains people can experience. It generally leads to reconstructive surgery. What if that didn't have to be the case? What if ethically gathered stem cells from umbilical cords and placentas could get into that space and accelerate the regrowth of tissue, actually start the regrowth of tissue. See, the problem with being our age, and my friend is my age, is our stem cells in our bodies, they're dying like the rest of our bodies. So the ethically gathered stem cells from placentas and umbilical cords are 0 years old. They're packed with building capabilities and something else. They destroy inflammation. So what if bone on bone wasn't your future? What if you could take care of this in about a week at a world-class resort in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, the safest city in Mexico by most measures? You can find out. It's as simple as getting an MRI, or if you have one, letting the people at Renew know where you got it, filling out a HIPAA form, which takes about 2 seconds, and they'll tell you if they can regrow the cartilage in your knee or hip or elbow, wherever it is, using the miracle of God's stem cells. So just do this. Go to Renew, RENUE.healthcare. That's RENUE.healthcare. Please tell them you're a member of the Todd Herman Show family, radio, podcast, YouTube, what have you. And they'll tell you if they can help you. And do pray for my friend. Let's call him the wrestler. Pray for the wrestler that you'll pray about going to Renew. Maybe he can come with me. We'll go down to Mexico together. Now, that's a scary thing. Wrestler and I in Mexico together. That's a scary thing. Renew, RENUE.healthcare. News Nation has done a really good job of covering what's going on in New Jersey, what the government's telling us versus what some of the reporters are seeing.
You know, this started as some questions, and now it's reached a point of almost insanity. You think about a United States...
That's a state senator, John Bramnick from New Jersey, a Republican.
Senator who has to go out with the local police to look for drones. That's where a United States senator is getting information. We had a briefing from the state police, the colonel in the state police. He was frustrated. He had no idea where these drones are coming from. Not only did I call for a limited state of emergency and the FAA shutting down the airspace for drones, but also having the Department of Defense come in and answer questions. If the Department of Defense doesn't know where the origins are for these so-called drones, then we're in trouble. We always thought that if there was something in the air the size of a car, that the Department of Defense would know where it came from, what its origin was, and what its purpose was. Now you have a United States senator going out with the local police, to look for fireworks at night? That is scary.
It is terrifying. Like Caitlin just reported, President-elect Trump is calling for government transparency, which you are as well. He's saying maybe shoot them down if we don't get any more information. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I would leave that up to the Department of Defense. But how can the Department of Defense not provide information to the public? This is a shock to me. You know, I have a general belief in government, but this is taking me to the end of my belief that government is really being honest. Now, there's been some apparently top secret briefings, right, with Congress people. Now, they come out of that, and I heard Josh Gottheimer come, the representative, and he said, well, I'm not getting a lot of information, but I don't think it's a threat. So my guess is there is information, but they're holding it back. And now what you have is panic.
There are people in New Jersey who are flat panicked, and maybe this is the result they want. Incidentally, if you're on Substack, you're watching this live, you are not in the discussion group you should be. There's a real robust discussion going on here right now. V. Brandon Smith, what would happen if people started shooting these things down? Rare Bear 101, good question. V. Brandon Smith, isn't the Reaper more of a jet or propeller or driven craft? And then Jiu-Jitsu Weasel, who I know to be a cop. Bullets that go up have to come down. That's a pretty good point. So you end up shooting a neighbor accidentally. Great conversation going on in the chat room. Thank you guys for being part of that. So let's go back to the very beginning. God's not being hoaxed. He's allowing this to occur. So in that way, we can know it's part of God's plan. To me, that helps me relax. So the government's unable to get together and say, hey, let's have one lie. That would mean to me that they don't care to have one lie. That would mean to me that right now they like the speculation. They like that people are arguing about this. They like that our eyes are on this. Why? Maybe it is this upcoming piece of legislation on the FAA. Maybe it is to get people really unsettled for President Trump coming into office. maybe it is that there is a nuclear warhead that's disappeared. And maybe it is on the East Coast. Maybe they are looking for it. This just doesn't make sense to me, given that you could fly the drones over New Jersey during the day looking for this, not just at night. The fact is this, they could know. That's where this all comes to me. They could know. They could shoot one down. There were about 50 of these things up in the air the night a skeptical reporter, a guy who works for News Nation who doesn't buy any of this, decided to go out and take a look around. He had his mind changed.
One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
You know, the Ocean County Sheriff, that drone unit, they have an industrial grade drone. They put it up. They were tracking one of these drones, Elizabeth, and they said this thing easily evaded them, disappeared out of thin air. So, you know, to me, it's if this is not our military, then it's even more scary, and we need answers, frankly.
So we'll get back to that News Nation reporter because he's the skeptical guy who went out and didn't expect to find anything. There's this. The New York Post ran a story a couple weeks ago about an Iranian drone ship. Iran's newly minted and massive Iranian drone carrier was captured in new satellite images sailing in the Persian Gulf this week, the ship's first reported sighting since leaving its home port for the first time in mid-November. The satellite images, taken Thursday by commercial operator Maxar Technologies, shows 3 Iranian drone ships in the waters off the country's coast as theories have swirled in the U.S. that Iran could be behind mysterious drone sightings across the tri-state area, according to Business Insider. Iran's new carrier, the Shahid Bagheri, is a converted shipping container that was outfitted to support drone operations and was last seen on November 12th when it was captured by satellite imagery sitting in Bandar Abbas, the report said. And in fact, there are pictures of that ship. This is what Representative Jeff Van Drew, a Republican from New Jersey, said. I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership that contains these drones, Van Drew said. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones. The Pentagon quickly poured cold water on those claims, claiming that there was, quote, no evidence that the country was responsible for the mysterious drones that have reportedly been seen across the state of New Jersey since November 18. The Pentagon, of course, has never passed an audit. Not once. Well, how's that connected? They're liars. The people at the top of the Pentagon lie to us whenever they want to. They're also telling us Ukraine is the single most important country in the world. A New York sheriff sent his drone up to track these 50 drones. You just heard this News Nation reporter talk about it. An industrial-grade drone. Sheriff Michael Mastornardi did this. A fed-up New Jersey sheriff said he tried to track the mysterious drones swarming the skies above his county, but they easily evaded the effort. Ocean County Sheriff's Office sent its own industrial-grade drone into the air Thursday in a bid to follow one of 50 unmanned aerial vehicles a local cop saw coming off the ocean, Sheriff Michael Mastornardi said. The officer alerted the state police, the FBI, and the U.S. Coast Guard. Coast Guard officials then reported 13 drones, the wingspans of 8 feet, following one of their vessels. Wait, what? And this comes from Powerline blog. People own drones, but a wingspan of 8 feet? The mysterious drones, which don't get off heat like typical versions, swiftly outmaneuvered of their clutches, Mastinardi told News Nation reporter Rich McHugh. We just heard that. If this is not our military, then it's even more scary, McHugh said. These things look like they're fixed wings and have multiple lights. I'm not really sure how to process what I saw last night. Both the photographer and I were kind of stunned. We'll get to that. The actual recording of him doing that, the actual video, him admitting his skepticism. There are people who have fought wars to protect this country. And it would seem to me they should be the people calling for just shoot one of the stinking things down so we can figure out what it is. My friend Tim Cruikshank is one of those guys. He fought for us in 3 deployments as a Navy SEAL and a medic attached to the SEAL teams. He came back and founded what I'm sure you're heard of now, Bone Frog Coffee. In fact, well, I keep thinking I'm wearing a Bone Frog shirt, and I'm not. I'm wearing a Rogue fitness shirt. Imagine that. So Bone Frog also has a cellar. Yep, wine. So Tim contacted a bunch of families who went on a tour of wineries, ended up meeting a family who was willing to help him learn the wine business so that Bone Frog Cellars wines are unique. Took a long time. We had the 2015 vintage Merlots and Cabernet at our home. My daughter's boyfriend, who's new to wine, loved it. My daughter said it was really tasty. She loved it. My wife, who occasionally drinks wine but does like it, she enjoyed it. Most impressively to me was seeing my friend Tom, who is a pretty big expert on wine, do the official tasting and swishing it around in the glass. I think that's called finding out if it's have legs and nose and comparing it between bites of food to discover the tastes in it. He was shocked that he liked the Merlot more than the Cabernet. It doesn't normally happen to him. So you can try this as well, but dig this. Ready? Through December 31st, you're going to get 30% off Bone Frog Cellars with Bone Frog code BFNWine30. Pardon me, BF Wine. Bone Frog Wine. BF Wine 30 exclamation point. BF Wine 30 exclamation point. It's the 2018 and 2019 Cabs and Merlots 30% off. The reviews are coming in fast for the Merlots, and this is stellar stuff. Here's the URL, bonefrogcellars.com/Todd, bonefrogcellars.com/Todd, and the code is BFWine30 exclamation point. So just think Bone Frog Wine 30 exclamation point. Bone Frog Wine 30% off exclamation point at bonefrogcellars.com/Todd. If they wanted to know what these drones were, and therefore where they've come from, maybe they could go find the one that apparently crashed in a woman's neighborhood. This is police radio traffic from New Jersey.
Calls from 1329 Sussex Turnpike reporting a drone fell out of the sky by the power lines behind their house. When she heard the crash, she reported 10 more drones showed up circling the area.
Received drone fell out of the sky.
And 10 more drones circling it. Which brings me back to the social programming. In the show Colony, one of the heroes of the show succeeds in taking a drone down because he wants to understand the technology in it, who made it. They're clearly aliens, space aliens. He wants to understand, did they breathe oxygen? Can we crack their language? Could we use this to turn around and spy on them? So he brings down a drone, and then he's surrounded by about 100 drones. You threaten a drone, you threaten one, you're surrounded by 100. So one drone's down and 10 arrive. Do they have weapons capabilities? Could that be why they don't want to shoot one down? Could that be why they didn't show up to take it away? Don't know, and they don't want us to know. They're enjoying us talking about it. That means they're benefiting from it. If they wanted the talk to stop, they would tell us the truth. They'd go get one of these drones, or they'd explain why they can't. Rich McHugh is a reporter for News Nation. He thought this whole thing was nonsense.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. You know, when this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters, and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing. But what was I seeing? We're here in central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it? Hours earlier, I was invited to join the Ocean County Sheriff Department. They they launched their own drones to see if they could intercept the mysterious aircraft New Jersey residents have been reporting in recent weeks. The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones.
Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat, and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here. Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before. Wow.
They're not hoaxing God. He knows the motive. He knows what's behind this. He's allowing this to occur. So in that way, this is an event that was meant to happen. But it's also something else. It's God, I think, continuing to show us, here's what happens when you have human kings. Here's where my money is right now. This is what I think is going on. I think it's our government. I think they're playing games. I think they want people unsettled. I think the operation during President Trump's tenure is going to be to do everything they can to drive even more distrust around federal institutions. Because if we can't trust President Trump and we can't trust the Democrats, maybe the whole situation's really hopeless. Maybe we need a total remake. So maybe this is the beginning of that. And it's something else. The deal that the people who run Joe Biden are handing out behind the scenes, the talk of the mass pardons of people like Liz Cheney, of Hillary Clinton, of Tony Fauci, that's going on behind the scenes, as is the handing out of this waiver from pharma for being sued for damages from a certain medication they shoved down people's throats. There's the money they just gave pharma. I mean, if this passes, this is in a defense bill, that they're going to get billions, or what, not billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to, give them more money case they don't get to force people to take certain shots anymore so that they could weather the storm of Donald Trump. There's this in the defense authorization spending bill, a real controversial provision. Republicans, who are terrible people, do not want youth, kids, given wrong sex hormones and wrong sex surgery using TRICARE dollars, taxpayer dollars. Democrats are saying the only way to have a military able to fight war is to make sure that the children of soldiers are getting wrong sex hormones and wrong sex surgery. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes in the last closing days of the Biden administration. There's the burrowing. The people who run Joe Biden are in the process of burrowing 3,000 political hires into civil service jobs. Why? So they can stop President Trump in his tracks. All that's going on behind the scenes right now. Well, the world's talking about drones. We just talked about it as well. But we're not going to allow them to distract us by pulling a rabbit out of their hat. What we should be looking at is what's below the hat. Lord, thank you for reminding us this is what you get when you choose human kings over having you as king. This is the Todd Herman Show. Please go be well, be strong, be kind, and please make every effort to walk in the light of Christ.